Hi, this is Kerry Artek with Wicked Stocks, bringing you your weekly Bitcoin update or analysis for the week of Monday, April 6, 2026. I start with this chart. I don't really have to. It just does kind of show the fact that we entered a significant sell signal back in February when we settled clearly below this 5-year channel top. We definitely spiked below it a number of times going back, but you know, the real clear settlement below this structure was back in February. And at the same time, I think this is the more significant development really in terms of downside continuation, was the settlement below this rising 3-year channel bottom that is now in the low 90,000 area. This is our ceiling, upper 80s, low 90s. We've collapsed and we've not yet reached our objective, but we've come pretty close to reaching 60,305. This is an even more significant channel structure that goes back to December of 17. So, you know, 8.5-year channel bottom at 60,305, I think represents the base of support that can not only contain selling through the rest of the year, but maintains a relevance for Bitcoin as a speculative entity. I think holding above the low 60,000 area not only allows over the next, I'm going to say 3 to 5 months back into the low 90s, but quite possibly over the next full year of activity, we can find ourselves back in the low 120s again, this 122. In fact, I'm going to go back to this chart just to show that this is A minus B plus A. You can see here we topped out there starting in July of last year. The last time we tested it was in October of last year. And this was an exhaustion point for any market, really. You've got the significant 22 high, 21 high, minus the 22 low. You add it back to the 22 high, kind of the sort of full swing. It is a balance and exhaustion point for any market, really, especially longer term. And so we topped out here, and then subsequent to that, we settled below 87,857 and have been anticipating a 60,305 all the while. We've yet to actually test 60,305, and though I do think it remains in reach over the next month, 2 or 3, holding below 73,791 to 74,412. This is an area we've tested quite a bit, you know, starting back in March and continuing through March, 3 weeks in a row, and we have since fallen away. 73,791, 74,412 can contain monthly highs, and below which this 60,305 remains in play. 60,305 able to contain selling through the rest of the year. If you're looking for an area to buy Bitcoin long term, this is it. The low 60,000 area combined with the upper 50,000 area. There's a rising 2/3 speed line projected off that 22 low. I'm going to call that the slippage factor below 60,305. Closing, though, below 58,904 this week, which is highly unlikely. But if we do, we enter another significant sell signal that I think realistically, this wouldn't be within 2 or 3 months. I would say potentially by the end of the year, the 15,000 to 19,000 area. Now, there are other points on the way down. We have the spike low at 49,000, and we will point those levels out on the way down. But this is broad brushstroke analysis, and if we close below 58,904, I do think that the mid-10s to upper 10,000 region, a realistic objective longer term, which means potentially by the end of the year, some point in 27 anyway. And if the market were to do that, I'll also say, as I have been saying, that closing below 58,904 does reduce the relevance of Bitcoin as a speculative entity. It would lose its luster and probably fade a bit into the background of all the instruments that are available. But until then, solid zone to buy into. We can round up into the low 90s and climbing within 3 to 5 months. And yes, I should redraw this 122 area here, 122 in reach over the next full year. Let's take a look at the upside that if we do close this week above 74,412, it's highly unlikely, but if so, I'm going to call 90,966 a 2 to 3 month target. This former channel bottom able to contain quarterly buying pressures when tested. And yes, once again, if we hold above 60,305, and certainly if we were to test it, I think you can hold out for longer term. Kind of a V-shaped rally could play out over the next, this was October to February. This is about, I don't know, we'll just call this a 6-month sell-off. Yeah, I don't expect a 6-month rally into the low 120s, but it is possible that by this point next year, holding above 60,305, we can find ourselves once again at this full wave count in the low 120s. I'm going to leave it at that for this particular Wicked Stocks video analysis on Bitcoin. I'll be back next week with another segment. You have a great week.